Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about the fate of the renter class. Now, yesterday, I went into great detail to explain to you what was going on with the end of the eviction moratorium, why it was allowed to happen, and what the most likely scenarios were going to be coming from allowing tens of millions of people to essentially be led to an eviction court and eventual expulsion out onto the streets. Now, today, I want to take a look at what the other part of this is, because of course, when anything bad happens, you sit around, you ponder it for a moment, and then you go, oh wow, I wonder what's going to happen when the other shoe drops. Well, I'm the guy who knows what size shoe it is, so y'all might want to tune in for a little historical perspective followed by a tale of what is happening to you right now at this exact moment. And this way, you'll know what's coming tomorrow. Here we go! Now, to explain to you exactly what is going on here, I am going to use a CNN business article. Why? Because it's literally the most mainstream source that you could go to. And I really want to drive home the point here that this is not happening under the cloak of darkness, in great secrecy, in a basement somewhere, with a bunch of people wearing plague masks and hoods in a dark room gathered around a table, dimly lit with candles, a whole bunch of old white dudes going, excellent. Like, this is literally happening right underneath your nose, right in front of your face. It's wealth extraction happening at an accelerating rate. And frankly, these people can no longer be bothered to hide this from you. So rather what they're going to do is they're going to tell you the hard truth, only they're going to try to make it sound not quite so bad. I will also show you what those little ditties look like as we dig into this article. Wall Street is buying up family homes. The rent checks are too juicy to ignore. Oh, you know Wall Street. They see juicy checks and they go, those should be mine, not yours. And then they make that happen. Housing markets are hotter than ever. And big money is getting in on the act. That's right. Fuck you, little money. This here is big money's turf now. Oh, by the way, for the record, little money, that's you. Pension funds, investment firms, and Wall Street banks are snapping up family homes in Europe and the United States at a rapid pace as prices rocket higher, looking for alternatives to office parks and shopping malls, and betting that a permanent increase in remote working following the pandemic will keep demand for suburban houses elevated. And where there's demand, there's extra profit. Where there's extra profit, there's capitalists. Also, side note here, capitalist profit, that's again, your money. That's their profit. Yeah. At the same time, the soaring cost of home ownership means the growing numbers of younger Americans and Brits renting rather than buying houses as they start families and gravitate towards the suburbs. Some of them may find their next landlord is based on Wall Street or in London's financial district. So, of quick note here, number one, you will note that the article is mostly based around the United States and the UK. Why? Because old, rich, white dudes in the United States love doing what they're doing in the US, in Europe, and, they have a few friends over there, so they know which restaurants to go to and where to go for high tea. So, they let their friends in on the action, and thus it becomes a duplicitous cycle of doom between the two countries who share the same small handful of ultra-rich, wealthy white people. If you have any question, please see Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, and see what they're currently doing with their time and who they're hanging out with, and you'll get a good idea of who this coalesced investor class is between the two nations. Analysts argue that this will improve standards in the rental sector and offer more choice in desirable neighborhoods. But some tenants who rent from corporate landlords dispute this, alleging substandard services and excessive rent increases. Oh, there's a shocker. You mean if a couple people or a couple corporations own the vast majority of homes, they get to determine what the market rate for rent is, not the market itself? Oh, Well, there's a shocker. Call me unaware of what capitalism does. Also, a quick note on this one. You see more choice in desirable neighborhoods, in the rental sector. What that means is that this investor class, what they're doing right now is they're coming in and buying up all the houses in the most, quote, desirable neighborhoods. That means white subdivisions with mature trees and very good school districts. The whole idea being that if they buy all the available inventory in the best neighborhoods, middle-class families are going to have the thumbscrews put to them, and they're going to have to decide, do we move into the awesome school district we want for our kid and get stuck renting for the next 20 years, or do we buy a house and start accruing wealth that we can pass down to our children, but unfortunately have to live 40 miles away from work in a much lower rated school district? You gotta love capitalists forcing the working class to make the tough choices so they don't have to. The impact on housing prices is less obvious. What? Really? Okay, please tell me more, CNN Business, about how it's not obvious how prices will continue to go up as the wealthy investor class owns like $5 trillion of single-family homes. Go ahead, explain this one away, oh CNN Business. If institutions help build new homes, that should bring purchase prices and rents down. I'm sorry, are you not familiar with how wealthy people buy things and then charge the absolute maximum amount for them all the time to maximize revenue and return, to increase their stock price, which increases shareholder dividend, which makes all the other old rich white people happy? I'm starting to think that either CNN Business doesn't understand capitalism or they're hoping that you don't. But if investors are hoovering up existing properties that would otherwise have been sold to individuals, that could squeeze out first-time buyers who were already struggling to afford their first homes. Wow, CNN, thanks for slipping the reality in there in sentence number 14. Way to really fucking lead with the facts. Household incomes in the United States and the UK have not kept pace with rising home values in recent years, a trend made worse by the pandemic, which has sent average house prices in both markets to record highs. Oh, that's right. The inability of the working class to afford homes isn't due to the fact that, most businesses haven't given most people any raises at all, or if they have, they've been substandard comparative to the annual cost of living increase that gets built into capitalism by, capitalists. Yeah, we're just going to ignore that fact and blame it all on the pandemic. Cool story. Whoa. Even before the pandemic hit, institutions already heavily invested in commercial real estate were looking at ways to diversify their income streams. Residential real estate provided an obvious alternative, and one that has only become more attractive since the pandemic. Now, I have done a series of videos on this dating back almost a year. What I can tell you is this. Back in 2008, after the crash, when the government sent in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy up as many mortgages as possible so that the market didn't completely crater, essentially what they did was slowly bleed them out. And in 2009, 2010, right after the pandemic, institutional investors essentially purchased 1% of all single-family residential homes that hit the market. As of the spring of this year, those same institutional investors are now buying up 22% of all single-family homes that hit the market. Why? To convert them into SFRs, single-family rentals. They're no longer houses that people can purchase. And every time they extract all the really nice houses out of the really nice areas in an area near you, well, all of the inventory on the local market dries up, and what happens is prices stay abnormally high. Now, eventually, this bubble is going to burst. Right? Since the onset of the pandemic, the share prices of publicly traded real estate investment trusts that specialize in these types of dwellings, again, SFRs, single-family rentals, well, companies who are leading the charge in that space, including Invitation Homes and American Homes for Rent, have outperformed companies that own apartment blocks. Quote, single family as an asset class didn't just fare well, it shined. Oh, when people on Wall Street are telling you that other capitalists are coming out shining and smelling like a rose, everybody else is going to want to get in on it. But don't worry, there are dozens of large equity and hedge fund groups out there that are literally raising $400 billion a quarter solely to purchase more and more single-family homes. This is going to be awesome. Now, big institutions can't get enough of family homes. Earlier this year, funds managed by Invesco Real Estate, one of the world's largest property investors, gave Mind $5 billion to buy 20,000 homes in the United States in the next 3 years on behalf of pension funds. Mind is currently buying between 30 and 40 homes a month and wants to increase that to over 1,000. Invesco isn't the only big name diving in, though. In March, Alliance Real Estate and private equity group Centerbridge led a $1.25 billion equity investment in Upward America Venture, a partnership with home builder Lennar Corporation to acquire over $4 billion of new single-family homes for rent in the United States. Yes, that's right. These institutional investors are buying up so many existing single-family homes and turning them into single-family rentals in nice areas that they no longer have enough opportunity to buy these homes themselves. They've literally devoured everything on the market. So now they're going to major builders such as Lennar, MI, Pulte, Ashton Woods, and prearranging to buy entire subdivisions that haven't even been started yet. Literally throwing hundreds of billions of dollars at a builder and going, cool, talk to me in 3 years when you've built this 1,200 home subdivision, which is going to be owned by Subdivision Corp., which is a subdivision of Division Corp., which is owned by People Corp., which is owned by like 2 rich old white dudes, one of them named People and one of them named Corp. Quote, the argument that institutional investors are buying every single house out there is not accurate. This means that the impact that institutional activity is having on housing prices is likely to be limited overall, although it could be more pronounced in certain parts of the country. Yeah, you know, certain parts of the country, like where people live. So it's not like this may have some kind of impact or, you know, it's not like they're buying up every house. No, we already said they're buying up about a quarter of all the houses, which apparently is more than enough to make the value of all the other houses y'all have already bought and now own even higher, which means you can go to a bank and borrow even more money against them to buy more homes. Lather, rinse, repeat. I wonder how this is going to end. Now, of course, I kid. I already know how this is going to end because I read history. See, sometime back in the 16th century, what happened in Europe was that the merchant class, the trader class, and all of the other people eventually had so much wealth because there were so many markets and there were so many people engaging in production and trade that the crown, the royalty, the very infrastructure of feudalism became nearly obsolete because, well, the crown had all the money and then no longer had all the money. And essentially, capitalism replaced feudalism. However, since then, wealthy people have spent the last 5 centuries trying to claw back all the wealth into the hands of a few people. Why would they do this, you may ask? Well, it's quite easy, really. Because capitalism seems to, I don't know, thrive when a shit ton of people all have some money. However, when very few people have most, if not all, of the money and resources, well then, you no longer have capitalism, you've just returned to feudalism. And in feudalism, it's really good to be the landed gentry, to be the lord, to be the owner of the property that everybody else has to beg you to live upon because there's no place else to live. and thus you get to name your price, and your price is essentially total control. So everybody, welcome to the new age of modern feudalism. I strongly suggest you keep a pitchfork and a torch handy. Very soon, you are going to need them. Until next time, my name is James, I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.